This is a 1943 Lone Ranger guitar. They were distributed quite widely through the 40s and 50s and even into the 60s. This one's in really bad condition. It's falling apart due to the old hide glue that put it together. And so I'm going to assess the issues that it has and then start to rebuild this. We're going to take a look at the inside first, and there's backs falling apart. The braces on the inside are all loose and vibrating and coming apart. Some are even missing. I'm going to get started with just addressing the fret ends. The guitar is dried out over the 80 years of its life, and so the frets are in bad condition. They're all bar frets, a very old style of fret they don't use anymore. The back's loose, and so that gives us an opportunity to take the back off and get access to the inside of it, deal with all those loose braces. As you can see, they all are just sitting there, come out very easily, and we need to get all that cleaned up and then get the glue the braces back in. We'll get to that next, but first we got to get rid of the old glue and all the residual of the old hide glue that was there, and get them all smoothed out so that we can properly put them back in place. So lots of gluing, lots of clamping. Even had to build a few new braces because some were broken or missing completely. But just a long process. Get them glued up and in place, and then they have to sit for at least 4 to 6 hours before we can move on to the next one. So it's kind of a long process. So we're going to remove all the hardware, the tuners, the tailpiece, any pegs, and the saddle as well. We've already taken the strings off it by this time, but everything's got to come off because we're going to do some refinishing on it. In fact, quite a bit of refinishing to bring it back to a usable and viewable state. once you've taken the back off or the top off of a guitar, they never want to go back together the same way again. They tend to deform, so it takes lots of clamps and a bit of patience to get it all lined up again and get that that glue doing its job. So a lot of clamps. Well, it's all back together and structurally sound again. Now we start the cleanup process. Any little imperfections, we're going to deal with that, get it all sanded down, and get it cleaned up and ready for a new coat of lacquer. I didn't film all the refinishing because that was mostly done outside, so kind of hard to get that filmed, but it was done with about 4 or 5 coats of black lacquer, and then finished that off with 2 or 3 coats of clear to go over top of that for final protection. You'll see later that all the stencil work was masked off with latex masking to protect the original stencil and to kind of clean it up a bit. And then we removed that after the lacquer process was finished. So the black lacquer has all been completed, and now I'm removing the tape and removing the latex masking that protected the stencil. Got that partly done here, and kind of a long process of just cleaning it all up and removing all the little bits and pieces to try and restore that original stencil and let the Lone Ranger ride again. One of the last steps in the finishing process, after some fine sanding and polishing, then a coat of hard wax to seal it all up and keep it beautiful for many years to come. Now to deal with all the last finishing details, putting the tailpiece back on. Found out that the rear strap button was oversized, and we need to plug that and stain it, refinish it, and drill a new hole for the plug button. Clean up the fretboard, stain the fretboard, get it back looking pretty again, and then pretty soon we'll put on the tuners, and won't be long before we can strap on a set of strings and make some sound out of this old girl. Well, we're finally down to the last few items to get resolved on this old guitar before we can start playing it. And we intend to be able to play it when it's all done. So adjusting the nut height and the saddle height, getting all the strings set in properly, doing some fret filing, and just final adjustments overall. And we should be on the road here very soon.